Alright, let's check this out. A little nerve-wracking here. I'm not sure this is working or not. Strange. Okay. Anyways, I'm trying out my OBS here with the YouTube. It looks like it's working. It's gonna have problems with chat. All right, here we go. We're gonna check this out. I gotta change that thumbnail too. It is not a Chris Boccolo stream. Silver Surfer Artist Edition by Claudio Castellini. I think it came out in 96 or 97, the original book. This is, I believe this is the Italian, maybe the French edition. But anyways, pretty cool book. Super, super hard to find. If you are seeking this out, so it's a hardcover. It is published by Panini. So I think it's France. Beware though, you might find hardcovers of this, and down here it'll have a logo similar to this right here. Don't buy that one if you want the artist edition. Yeah, the artist edition is free of that. I'm not entirely sure. Everything else looks exactly the same, and I think the size too. The one with the little logo right here is going to be the full color reprod edition of that. So let's try this out. I see Noah's here. Hey Noah, does this sound okay? Is the volume levels and everything cool? I'm using OBS for this. I should actually edit this out. Hold on a second here. I'm going to edit out that thumbnail is bugging me. Yeah, this is not a steampunk stream. Where is that thing at? Oh, here it is. Okay. Anyways, yeah, like I said, this very, very special book. There it is. I swapped that out. A little cracky. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go and flip this over. Noah, check this out. About to get scolded. Claudio Castellini, if you're not familiar, in the 90s, or at least in the area of California I was living, a lot of hype, big hype on Claudio. There was a Silver Surfer book that the lore to it is it took him several years to complete. 1996, I guess it would be. Let me see here. I'll actually look it up. Well, he did a bunch of variants for the Rebirth artifacts. Wow, did it get memory hold? I'm not even seeing this book. Anyways, yeah, this 1996. We're gonna say 96. I'll stick to that. So yeah. Anyways, I think this book is my roller here. So it's like 14 by 9, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, 9 by 14. It is actually an artist edition, and the reason I say that is the interior pages here. You can see the with his whiteout. There's a lot of airbrush work. You could actually see the discoloration. It's got a little bit of a blue hue where it kind of overlaps over the spotted black areas. And the grayscale here, some of it is Zipatone, but a lot of this here is actually like a wash. It's like a watercolor wash, possibly gouache. Yeah, so yeah, it's a super awesome book. Claudio's work, to me personally, I don't actually know this for a fact. but it looks to me like probably top two influences is going to be John Buscema for sure, because this screams that hardcover special by Buscema and Stanley um, that I have as well. It's pretty cool book, mostly pinups. It's kind of a storybook, um, but yeah, that and a lot of Hogarth, especially with these hands. You know, there's really only three comic artists that ever come to mind with the dynamic. You know, their art style is almost fluid. It's almost like water, I guess. Not very stoic. You know, it's like movement over style over substance, and a lot of artists are more like style over substance, or just you know, somewhere in the middle. But his work, definitely everything moves. There's a romanticism to every panel, every page, everything that he does. Little fashion forward on some of the rendering. You know, this is the kind of fade out rendering you'd see Stephen Platt or Del Keown do on the pectorals and stuff. But yeah, like I don't know. I would say artistically, he's always, to me personally, it's always come off sort of like a mixture of possibly Bart Sears, you know, like old school Bart Sears, like early '90s Bart Sears, mixed with some of that Burn Hogarth, and then obviously in the faces, it's very evident in the females, especially with Buscema. Yeah. So and I can't tell you how much everything in here, every crevasse is fully rendered. He doesn't just come in and spot black. There's rendering throughout every page, and it's pretty amazing. This right here looks like it might be ink wash or whatnot to you. It actually is ink wash. He uses like a 10, I would say like a 10, 20, 30 grade, and actually shades it out. And then over top of that, there's Zipatone, which has all of these areas cut out or whited out. And then his final step would be this haze you see here. This is not Photoshop. This is actual airbrush. So frisk it, and this is airbrush over this. And then these were the pages scanned for that book. So yeah, again, it's pretty amazing. Really, really awesome line art here. It appears to be brush art or brush inked. It's not, and he does this a lot. This is not brush ink. This is it looks like a Hunt 102 with just very crazy good precision. Yeah, it's just crow quill, honestly. A lot of rendering. Like I said, everything in throughout here is fully rendered. Yeah, I don't think Claudio never really got his day, as far as, you know, people really looking at his work for inspiration. So that's why I'm making this video. He did work on there was a Conan relaunch. I have the first 3 or 4 issues of that. Pretty tough to find. I don't think they've ever come out in a collected edition. And the artwork is nice. It suffers from bad coloring, in my opinion. I don't really care for the colors at all, especially for the era when they came out. So, but yeah, these, you know, everything about, like I said, layouts, a lot of skewed panels, a lot of panel breaks, a lot of that 90s flavor in that regard. But the character-wise scale, you know, everything is very, it's just a really nice mix, really nice mixture of kind of old school meets new school. Yeah, you can see right here in the hand, like you look at stuff like this, and man, it's just so cool. So cool. All right, I'm gonna get through this. Again, like I said, you see a lot of these grayscale areas. This is Zipatone. This is Zipatone going on. You got Zipatone. Took all that time. Zipatone. Some of it, he did do some ink wash work underneath. Got some airbrush work on top. And you don't see a lot of artists really pulling this off. This galaxy back here, it looks like he kind of went Jack Kirby with... he's got some of the Kirby crackle going on, but then he comes in and washes in some grayscale within these areas here. And then he also hits it with some whiteout. Like this right here is like an airbrush, sort of a dithering effect coming out of that white. So a lot of tonal control, even though it is line art, that's not really going to reproduce very well because the colors underneath wash out a lot. That's why I feel really fortunate that this came out. There's a lot to be learned from this. You can see this right here too. Fully rendered this entire area, and he came in and he masked this off where the surfer's kind of coming in on the board, and did this white effect, which comes across here and across here like a 1-point perspective coming at you, but obviously going away from you. So you kind of see the swoop right here, and it covers all this line art here just enough, you know. But again, yeah, you don't see any artists really doing this. I remember back in the day, you know, obviously, I mean, I worked at Extreme Studios for quite a while. Stephen Platt had artwork like this. It was not published. He had some Punisher stuff he had done for samples, and a few other pieces that he actually went off and did actual like pencil shading and some paint stuff. And to my knowledge, it's never really been seen. I never got copies of it because people just kind of kept it under lock and key, the ones who did have copies, because he didn't want it out. You know, it was like samples, like I said. But this kind of reminds me of that a bit, where if Platt adopted a lot of this cool fine artsy stuff, you know, a little more control, maybe some of the Zipatone stuff. I'm curious what else he could have brought to the table rather than just you know, pure grit and insane crosshatch detail. Yeah. So, and right here, obviously, you can really see it right here. You can see that old school 70s Buscema look. But again, yeah, like it always kind of comes back to the hand. This here is a little more of a Hogarth look. You know, every nook and cranny got some rendering to it, but yeah, it's just like I said. And this is a huge book. It's a lot of pages. And again, I mean, these ships and stuff, this is all fully hand rendered. Everything you see in here, hand rendered. It's very 70s Avengers there. Yeah, these ships. And then a nice thing about this book too, in the very back there is a sketchbook section. A lot of sketches, a lot of preliminaries, things like that. Yeah, you look at this hand, like, yeah, you look at this hand right here. Like, that's madness. That's madness. There's so much to be learned from this. Oh, camera's getting glitchy. Oh well. I'll do my best with this, guys. Yeah, Pingrin is here as well. What's up, Mark? Yeah. I'm telling you, everything about this is sick. Unfortunately, this book here, it is going to be a hard find. The reason why Panini France, I have tried to order other hardcovers from them. Reason being is a lot of their collections actually have bonus content that we don't have here in the States. And as an artist, I could do without actually reading it. I have other copies of the actual story. So the language barrier, it doesn't really bother me. It's more so about getting the content. And this was not released in the States. This edition was not released here, this artist edition. And you know, it kind of shows. I think Claudio is a little more revered as an artist over there. Here in the States, I mean, he's obviously, you know, in sewing circles, he's revered. A lot of pros really appreciate him, but he kind of lands in that weirdness where, like, all of us are really much into like these crazy designers that have a great, you know, consistent anatomy to their work. Again, back to Bart Sears. Claudio Castellini, obviously. Richard Bennett, another one, you know. You just have a lot of unsung heroes that just kind of go, you know, they're not Jim Lee, they're not Wills, they're not Liefeld, you know, they never became like a name, you know, but they're just, they're respected in other ways. Yeah, this is madness right here. That's why I chose this camera. This picks it up a lot better than if I use StreamYard. So I'm going to try this out. I might actually start doing this from now on, guys, with the Art for Inspiration videos, just because I think I'm getting a better resolution. The glitchy camera is bothersome to me, but it is what it is. But yeah, you see this right here. You get these areas like on this face here where you get the, I always call it the deleter line. It's that line that kind of breaks the 30-40% shadow from the brightest area of the face. And a lot of us will tend to just kind of draw it in. We'll kind of draw that hard line, and the colors might drop like a light blue over a flesh tone, like to indicate the shadow is being cast on that side of the face. But yeah, he comes in and a little bit of grayscale going on. Actually, a lot of ink wash going on in here. Even the Surfer, all the musculature on Surfer here is and sorry again about the glitching. Yeah, a lot of this is actually might be some sort of watercolor airbrush, because this looks really smooth. What he did here in this area here on Surfer's face, super smooth. Yeah, this is badass too. But yeah, everything about this, I mean, you take it just conceptually, you just take this panel, like take these panels out of the mix. This is a very time-consuming page here. Every panel's a key panel, and it's rendered to the max of the size and I'm sure his ability, and then you get to these larger panels, and it sells this page, you know. Yeah, it's ridiculous. There you go. You got the Hogarth hand right there going on. And even on her face here, there's some grayscale. He's got some grayscale work coming in here. I kind of wonder if some of this approach perhaps inspired Travis Trey on that Wolverine Zealot, the Wildcat X-Men book that everyone used as their personal Bible for about 3 to 5 years. He really does. He uses that a lot of those that approach. I think Travis was more like just ink wash, kind of one and done. He didn't do a lot of this white airbrushy stuff here. But you can actually see, because it's a little bit older, like this is some sort of a weird screen, and it's actually layered. It looks like he did 2 different layers to create some of the darker areas in here. Man, it's like a super close cluster of dots. It's not like a very open screen tone on that. And then here there's a mixture. He's got some watercolor or ink wash underneath, and then on every single finger he hits it with the screen, and then kind of comes in with some white on some of the white details on it. And it's nice, you could see it because it has a little bit of a bluish hue or a reddish hue to it, obviously because the pages are aged. And then you get some of that radial screen tone going here, where he pays special attention to the eyebrow area of Surfer there. Yeah, this is super impressive. You just, like, again, I don't think I've seen another artist put this much effort into interiors, really ever, to be honest. It's a badass panel right here. And again, you got that, it's like the Buscema layout with the Hogarth approach, right? Like the anatomy. It's like that's straight out of How to Draw Hands by Vern Hogarth. What's up, Andy? See, Andy's here. I'm gonna keep going. Check out this demon. It's pretty sick. So he was inking himself as well. Like, again, you know, he's got a mixture. He's got some of that old school, new school, and this book was pre-2000. It was pre-2000, so a lot of these methods he was using in here weren't really super incorporated. Like a lot of this rendering style, after this book came out, you started seeing a lot of artists using it, like Joe Quesada even. Joe Quesada started using a lot of this rim lighting technique, where everything wasn't parallel lines building and dithering away from shaded areas. And then he's got a lot of stuff in here too that almost feels like Danny Mickey, where Danny was a big texture guy, and he would do this thing where he would build lines vertically and horizontally at the same time using horizontal lines by ink pressure, by pressure on the nib. So he would kind of get a thin to a thick to a thin, and then a thin to a thicker to a thin, and then a thin to a thickest to a thin. And then as you go, it actually creates this gray line kind of traveling up, as well as the shade going this direction as well. Plus it's getting the length of the playing field, right? The muscle or whatever, the bicep. And he's got a bit of that going here on his legs. It's just cool to see. It's cool to see. Damn, that's a lot of cross hatching there, and pretty good job at keeping it pretty uniform too. This entire thing is cross hatched with like a 003. It looks like it's crazy. What's up, Jeremy? How's it going? Yeah, dude, this is it's a French artist edition for Claudio Castellini's Silver Surfer one shot. Hold on a second. I'm gonna find the name of this book. I'm pretty positive it was '96. I remember when this book was released in color, because the shop in California that I was doing a lot of signings at the time, when he got it, he put a copy aside for me. And he was like, dude, I don't know if you're going to like this or not, but I saved this for you. It's called Dangerous Artifacts. It's called Dangerous Artifacts, just so you know, okay? So the printed book of this, and yes, it's 1996. It's about $20 for the full color one. Yeah, so 96 marble. There you go. But yeah, so back in the day, I think it was like $6, but whatever. It's out of print. You know, it's going to be probably a hard to find book. A lot of artists were picking this up, that I know at least. But I remember when this book came out. I remember it very clearly because he also was showing me. He had purchased some original pages from Matthew Banning at some show. They were all Dave Finch Cyberforce pages, and I think the most he paid was like $75. He got a cover for $75. It was the one with it was like Killjoy getting like shot up or something. It was like a real close shot of Killjoy kind of off center on it. But he's like, yeah, you let it go for $75. I still remember that visit to his shop because I had got this, and then there were some indie books. There was a lot of that American Cavalcade stuff he was bringing into the shop too, and I remember a bunch of those variants coming in that I picked up. So yeah, dude, if you look, like, this is madness right here, like just these shots here. And you know, another thing, I haven't pointed this out. As crazy as the rendering is and everything else, he always keeps it in mind. These word balloons are effortless. This person could letter this book like no one's business because he left room. He left room for places to be placed on every panel. So yeah, you know, as much as he goes off on these, he also was mindful. This is a cool full body right here. It's very cool also. Very Bart Sears right there. This one too. You see the ship here where it takes off. He actually utilized the dark gray. He's got the dark gray. He's got some splatter in here for the stars, and then some. It's actually kind of a brownish. I don't know. It's a really bizarre thing. It's like you almost have a bluish hue to this the white spray paint, and then a brownish hue to the sky because of the ink has aged, or the paper perhaps. But and then he did kind of a light a light gray bubble here, and then he used pure white to show that ship within it. Again, you don't really see a lot of artists doing this. You know, it's like artists are afraid. They're like, you know, black and white or nothing. They're really scared of that dropping gray in it because they're afraid it's gonna. I think probably because they're afraid it's gonna ruin the piece. I really like this effect here too. Screen tone, just a flat dot matrix screen tone in here on that hand. Only in the shaded area. The white area is very open, you know, for color. This is cool too. So obviously masked it off. It looks like he did kind of a rough airbrush here, and then these beams coming out of Surfer's eyes are masked, you know, each one's masked off, and then just airbrushes it in, masks off the next one, airbrushes it in for both eyes. A lot of screen on the edges here. I'm just pointing this out because Claudio put in some freaking work on this shit. This thing is like, when I say it, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Like, everywhere you look, there is rendering of some sort happening that ties into other pieces of that figure or that background. This is an incredible shot. I really like this. The hand's a little wonky for me. I don't think I could ever get away with drawing this without feeling weird about it. But it looks like weirdly correct because it's almost like that Hogarth, that forced perspective, you know, with the thumb dropping behind. And fingertips are actually kind of hard to draw for me personally. They're not. But just take this. I mean, that's cover ready right there. You know, bring a fist up in here, make it glowing. Like this is like almost a cover ready pose right there. And not a lot of shortcuts either. Like this kind of looks like he may have shortcutted a bit, but he really doesn't. It's the lighting. And you see Surfer flying up right here. This is all the same panel. Surfer getting out of there. Just getting the hell out of there. So. Cool pose. Again, and you know, like again, there's a romanticism that I think every artist can take from Claudio's work. Bart Sears, obviously. If you grew up with Wizard magazines, I think that's probably where a lot of people got introduced to Bart Sears. But yeah, Bart Sears' work. You know, they all have that thing. They all got those fluid outlines. Even when they work chiseled, there's something about the underdrawing conveys the movement, you know. Even myself, if I were to draw this panel here, it would look stiff as hell. It'd be rendered cool, it would look cool, but it would just be really stiff. There's something about, he's got a wireframe to his work that I don't really feel like I possess, because I'm more of a contour artist, like Mignola, Jim Lee, Wills. Those are all like I would call them contour artists. You know, it's like you express shape, pose, and volume through the contour lines versus something like this is actually almost like you can almost shoot an arrow through it, and you can see the direction that everything is kind of taking on. You gotta think a little bit differently to create that kind of art, in my opinion. So Claudio is a true artist. Look at this face. That's badass. Under here, screen tone, and again, sorry, the camera, you can't really see it, but this is completely screen tone under here, and he picked the perfect one for these fades. But yeah, these pages are beautiful. They look so cool, and the planets did such a good job on these planets. And Galactus looking like a badass right here. What's funny is, out of this entire book, this helmet is the first time that something looks like it was by someone else. Like sometimes you'll see an artist, you're like, oh, those guns look like they were drawn by, you know, whoever. There's something about his rendering on this that really feels like Walt Simonson, and I think it's these hard lines against the hard white lines right through here, and it has that kind of you know, it's a pawn jumper, right? Like it just sort of, and Muddy Mud Skipper going on in there. But yeah, it's super cool to see that because he handles it so differently too. There's some grayscale wash going on in here. Um, a lot of new school rendering going on in here. It's wild. And even if you look at the cap of this, it looks almost like, I don't know, it looks almost like there could be like a city or something within here. Like there's a bunch of lights and a lot of stuff that kind of goes right into the dome. Yeah, incredible detail. Look at the scale. There's Surfer right there. Yeah, and that's the last page of that right there. All right, now we get to look at Sketchbook. Get to see a Thanos there. Thanos all mad facing it. He's all angry. Point this out. All of us do this, and what do? We bring a white line. We bring a white line to cut up across this stuff, right? Claudio says, nah. He masks this whole thing off and hits it with airbrush spray. So there's white showing the movement, which happens when you move your hand. You know, you create this. In cartoon world, you create a see-through, transparent, either repetitive pattern of something moving, or with this case, it's almost like a laser beam. It's just a flash. So you got to indicate it somehow on the paper, which is stoic, right? So that's what he does there. Bunch of stuff I can't even pronounce. All right, let's get through here. All right, we're gonna get to the sketchbook. Andy's here for the sketchbook. If Andy's still here, he's here for the sketchbook. I feel like this is a commission. I think this is actually a recreation of John Romita Sr. Yeah, it says something about John Romita Sr. right here. I feel like this is a I feel like this is like a reinterpretation of a John Romita Sr. But this is Claudio's work here, but it feels very, very, very 60s, 70s, like he was like holding back. It's got a little bit of screen tone going on here and there. Almost feels like a Gene Colan. I mean, it's really weird. It's interesting to see it, but definitely not the quality that he brought, you know, to these interiors. Page prelims. Here we go. You get to see some page and panel prelims. Here's that shot that, you know, he had skewed, that was zoomed out from, and the female, the form was right here, right, showing the scale. She was about yay big to him. Yeah, you get to see this. You get to see this crazy hand. Here we go. You got the the forced perspective, the Bern Hogarth hand right there, right off the cover of How to Draw Hands by Bern Hogarth. More panels right here. Point this out. You could see more of the skeletal structure underneath, because in the book this is all blacked out. All these fingers are blacked out under here, but you can see what his thought process is right here, right? There's almost a almost like a muscle buildup over the frame on this character. And I know it's the alien's hand. This isn't like human hands, but still, he still does all that work underneath before covering it up. It's a really cool profile shot right there. Here's that panel I like so much. This is his prelim for that. And he actually goes in on these prelims. It's funny. It's almost like an Alex Ross approach. Like he actually fully renders them out, like just quickly, but in a way to maybe to indicate to himself, like for later, you know, oh, this is how I want to approach it. This face, this screams Buscema to me. Like you know what? Maybe even like Neil Adams. I'm not really sure. I actually prefer this to the printed page, the panel of this scroll, whatever. But this hand is awesome. That's a super awesome hand right there. Nice forced perspective. Then you get these face shots right here. These are cool, and again, you know, these are just, this is preliminary. This is like, you know, sketchy McDoodle bags over here. You know, just flexing a bit, showing off what he's going to be doing in the actual book. This is really cool. It's cool shading. A lot of this gets lost, though, you know. Like, I think when he inks it up and throws some of the tonal areas in here, some of these line arts that are very bold and noticeable in the sketch kind of get pushed. Burn over at that. It's cool, you know. He's like, You know, if you figure what, 1996, he's like, no one's ever gonna say I don't draw hands. Look at this layout right here. Looks almost like Apocalypse, right? Looks almost like Darkseid's gonna pop out of here. It's a pretty cool panel right here coming on the corridor. Yeah, now I think there's a few commissions in here too. Yeah, so you got. Okay, so I think these were. Okay, so this was an Italian cover, I guess. An Italian preview. So you get a cover right here. That's pretty cool. It's a pretty badass piece. I get this piece right here. I think this book did wonders for his career. I think he ended up just getting a bunch of commissions of people who loved it so much. Get this DPS here, Surfer, and look at it. He writes his name like in the rocks. That's his signature right there. It's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of rendering. He's about a 70% on this compared to what he actually did in this issue on the interiors. Yep, you get another pretty pivotal piece there. Another cool creation piece of this Surfer. There's a Jim Lee pinup that Danny Mickey inked way back in the day. A lot of people don't know about it. I don't even know where it's printed at, but it was printed by Marvel. So it's Silver Surfer coming at you first person, and he's got his hands out, and he's coming away from Galactus. It's like Jim Lee's version of the birth of Surfer, but I kind of dig this right here. It's more like a I forgot what you call it. It's kind of like when I'm sitting there holding a trap jaw. You know, this is kind of how I imagine that the world sees me holding a trap jaw figure. This is cool. A lot of grayscale in here. I wonder if this was on purpose. Man, he really knows how to push and pull tendons. This is really cool to see this right here, just like this arm. That's awesome. I think this is ink. I don't think these are Copics. I think this is ink because there's a lot of some shading stuff going on there that doesn't look natural, like here too. It's like someone trying to paint with watercolor, but really controlled. And none of this, I'm going to point this out too, none of this background is black. This is different values of gray, and it gets lighter as it gets closer to Mr. Galactus there. It was a cool piece. This one here, you can really see it, the cool grays versus the warm grays. Here's a cool. Then I think that's it, guys. Yeah, that's it for there. Let's see. Yeah, Castellini. You're not gonna find it for that. I guarantee it. But yeah, anyways, if you just look up French edition, artist edition, whatever, Claudio Castellini's Silver Surfer, might find it. But again, like I said, if you see it with a cover with a logo information right here, it is not this book. Yes, it's a hardcover, but it's not the artist edition. Any listing you're going to see, it will have to say artist edition on it. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to be extremely disappointed. You're going to get it, and it's going to be the full color book, and I cannot vouch whether or not it even has the really cool sketch stuff as well. So, all right, yeah. Anyways, yeah, my first time trying to use this OBS, can't pull chat. Sorry about that. But yeah, seek this out if you can. I highly recommend it. Any artist out there, it's just